Right. Yesterday we touched a bit on photosynthesis, a bit, and I mean a bit. We say, what are the reactants for photosynthesis again? So first need radiant energy, which is light. Ne? And then that light reacts with carbon dioxide and water. Ne? To give us what? What are the products? The main product is glucose, CHO 612 C6H12 plus oxygen, and oxygen will be released into the atmosphere. So that is photosynthesis. Ne? And we say photosynthesis takes place where? Not generally speaking, where does it take place? It takes place in the chloroplast. And yesterday we also looked at the chloroplast, ne? As something like this. I'm going to make a rough sketch quickly. It is something like this, the chloroplast. Chloroplast. Yes, something like this, ne? Which contains a whole lot of ribosomes and some starch granules there and there that stores starch. Ne? Good. And we also looked at, this is the double membrane, right? The double membrane. Double membrane, yes? When they are seeds, no. Mitochondria, yes. Chloroplast, not, no. Remember, chloroplast has a green pigment, so it's not really there yet. It only starts forming once it germinates, and then it gives off the leaves. Good. Then we have the stroma. That's the space inside the chloroplast. And then we will have those starch granules which store starch, and then we'll have ribosomes. Ribosomes are responsible for protein synthesis. Which proteins in particular? The enzymes. Good. And then these stacks, what we call these stacks? Grana. Many grana, one grana. Good. Each of these plate-like structures are called the thylakoid. Good. Now today we're going to be looking at photosynthesis as a whole. Photosynthesis has two phases. It has two phases. That's photosynthesis. One is called the light phase, and two is called the dark phase. Good. In the textbook, it will tell you it's light phase and dark phase. And then why did it say it? It is light dependent. So basically, this is your light dependent phase. And then this one, the dark phase, is your light independent phase. Those are the two phases. So this one, your light phase is dependent, sorry. Is dependent on light. And then your dark phase is independent of light. So it is independent. It does not require light for it to happen. So first is the light phase, and secondly is the dark phase. All of these happening where? Inside your chloroplast. Yes. They don't. Mostly at night is during they perform the dark phase reactions. Ne? They continue. As long as they have products of the light phase, you'll get to see. Ne? They can keep working. Ne? Now imagine this is the chloroplast. The chloroplast is found inside cells in your leaves, ne? Your mesophyll tissue. Remember, your mesophyll tissue contain a whole lot of chloroplast. They're saturated with chloroplast, especially the palisade mesophyll, directly underneath the epidermis of the leaf, ne? The ones that are perpendicular to the epidermis. Now, the sunlight or the sun rays will penetrate through the epidermis and the what else? The cuticle of the leaf, and then penetrate the cell membrane of the palisade mesophyll cells, and then into the chloroplast through the double membrane into the grana. Where in the grana? In the thylakoid. The thylakoid, that's where the thylakoid of the grana, that's where photosynthesis actually starts to take place. It goes in there. Now, once it gets in there, light phase begins. That is the first phase. Where? In the thylakoid. Now, let's look at the light phase step by step. The light phase. First things first, location, GPS, sila. Where does it happen? The light phase. In the thylakoid. Where's the thylakoid? In the grana. In each granum there are thylakoids. That's where light goes. Light goes in there. Then what happens? Once this light penetrates into the granum, what happens? What part of the chloroplast absorbs this light? We did it yesterday. What part of the chloroplast absorbs light? The chlorophyll. That's the first part. Chlorophyll absorbs light. Okay? Chlorophyll absorbs light. Now, after chlorophyll absorbs light, it's going to use this energy, this radiant energy. It uses the radiant energy, meaning the light energy, I usually, no offense to anyone, I usually look at this, it's similar to a Bible story. Think about it. Chlorophyll absorbs light. It's like it's been given power. And then it performs miracles. Miracle A. What does it do? It makes energy. What is energy? It makes ATP. Now, chlorophyll is the Jesus of the story. Its first miracle number 1, Genesis. It makes ATP. What is ATP again? Adenosine triphosphate. Yes, ATP. Be specific. I'll show you why. There are two things that have high energy here. That is the first miracle, energy. And then there was energy in the form of ATP. B, second miracle. Remember, Jesus once split bread for the thousands in attendance. Chlorophyll splits. It doesn't split bread though. Please don't write that chlorophyll splits bread. It splits H2O. What is H2O? Water. One miracle. It splits water into, you can only split water into two elements. What are those? Hydrogen, ne, and oxygen. These are the two elements that are created. Yes, ATP, adenosine. ADENOSINE, adenosine triphosphate. ATP is basically, if I remember well, it's a nitrogenous base and uh, bonded to three phosphates. It's a high energy molecule. Ne? Basically, it provides energy to basically certain processes or all the processes in your body. Ne? Ne? For example, when you're running, you use ATP. Good. Then, uh, is everybody with me? Then what happens to these miracles that were performed? Ne? Something must happen. Let's start with miracle A. What happens to the adenosine triphosphate? It's gonna go into the dark phase. Ne? Adenosine triphosphate goes into the dark phase. So let's say adenosine triphosphate or ATP. If you say ATP, it's okay, guys. We're not trying to get you failing here. ATP will be used in the dark phase of photosynthesis. Ne? That's ATP. ATP will be used in the dark phase of photosynthesis. Then what about the water that was split? Let's start. Oxygen, or the oxygen will be released. Do we need oxygen during photosynthesis? No. So the oxygen will be released into the atmosphere. Oxygen will be released into the atmosphere. Through what? How does oxygen leave the leaf? Which pores are used for gaseous exchange? The one made up of two gut cells like this. What do we call them? Stoma. Ne? The stoma. Or many stomata. Ne? Great. Good answer. Good answer. Uh-huh. Then what happens to the hydrogen? The hydrogen is also needed in the dark phase. But how does it get there? The hydrogen, that hydrogen, H plus, will be carried to the dark phase. Will be carried to the dark phase, just like Jesus has carried the cross. The hydrogen will be carried as well. It's the cross that needs to be carried. Will be carried to the dark phase to Holocaust by a coenzyme. A coenzyme. Yes, I want to ask you, Wena Zodiac, what is a coenzyme? Because you did this last year when we were doing organic compounds. When we're doing enzymes, what is a coenzyme? Zodiac, please tell me, what is a coenzyme? Stupid. Yes, it's aka the helper or the partner, ne? Of or for enzymes, ne? Of enzymes. It comes into aid of all enzymes. So basically, you would have that hydrogen, ne, linked to a coenzyme. And then both of them being shipped to the dark phase. Ne? Both of them will be shipped to the dark phase of photosynthesis. Everybody with me? Good. So far, if we go back so that it can make sense, if we go back here, what have we used so far? We have used light. Ne? What else have we used? We have used H2O. Ne? And then what product have we formed so far? Oxygen. So, are you noticing something? This this oxygen over here, ne? Not the one from carbon dioxide, the one from water. It is the one released, ne? During what? During photosynthesis as a byproduct, ne? And then the hydrogen here, this hydrogen over here, will be used later on to form these hydrogens that go into the sugar or the disaccharide, which is glucose. Ne? Now, let's go. After this, everything needs to go to what products? What are the products? Let's look at the products. What are the products? Products. What are the products? Products one. Not of photosynthesis, of the light phase. What was made? Oxygen, yes, you are right. 2, hydrogen. 3, what else was made? Nimrod, what was made during this? During the miracle? Thank you. ATP. You can't even read something on the board. ATP. Ne? Now, where do they go? And glucose is not a disaccharide, it's a monosaccharide. Hey, you even forgot, guys. Oxygen, where does it go? It's released. Ne? These are their fates. Hydrogen, dark phase. ATP, dark phase. Are you with me? So this is basically what happens. Ne? Light penetrates the chloroplast, goes to the grana in the thylakoid. Then the chlorophyll absorbs light, uses it to make the following. It makes adenosine triphosphate, which is energy. It splits H2O into hydrogen and O2, and then the hydrogen is kept. O2 is released from the plant via the stomata, and then what happens? ATP will be used in the dark phase. Oxygen is released, hydrogen will be carried to the dark phase by a coenzyme. And then these are the products. Are we together so far? All right. Who's not following this story? Proper. We enter the dark phase. This is like a horror movie, but the black guy don't die in this one. Right. In the dark phase, what happens? What haven't we used so far? What haven't we used in our reactants? Look, carbon dioxide. Now we get to see what happens to the what is the fate of the carbon dioxide during what? During the dark phase. First things first, location. Sila. The location of the dark phase is in the stroma. It happens in the stroma. And it makes sense because we need those enzymes to catalyze the photosynthetic process. And then where do we find those enzymes? In the stroma. Why do we find them in the stroma? Because they were created by ribosomes that are found in the stroma. Hallelujah. Then, let's go. Once the, not the oxygen, the hydrogen and the ATP enter the dark phase, this is what's going to happen. Let's start. Carbon dioxide, CO2. It contains which elements? It contains carbon and oxygen. It contains carbon and oxygen needed to form or produce or synthesize, to form the high energy carbohydrate, which is starch. But wait, when did we get to starch? Where does starch come from? From glucose. How? Remember, starch is glucose, one glucose bonded to another glucose, 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 to another glucose. Basically, long chains of glucose is starch. So that is why we need, and what is glucose? CH6 C6H12O6. But we need what? We need what do we need? We need the carbon. We need what else do we need? We need the oxygen to make this glucose. Where does the hydrogen come from now? Where does the hydrogen to make this C6H12O6 come from? From the light phase. Carried by what? Yes. So the hydrogen from the light phase, the light phase carried by a coenzyme gets to make or complete our compound, which is glucose. This is how glucose is made. Now, another thing we must take note of: the enzymes control the reactions that happens in the dark phase. In the dark phase. So the enzymes are responsible for controlling all the reactions that happen in the dark phase. However, the dark phase requires a lot of energy. The dark phase Requires what? Requires a lot of energy. So where's the energy gonna come from? From the ATP. Ne? Good. ATP and that hydrogen. Remember, hydrogen is a high energy element. Ne? Provide the dark phase reactions with provide the dark phase reactions with the required energy for them to happen. And once that happens, the only product of the dark phase is what? Glucose. C6H12O6. That is what happens. Is it making sense? Sort of, kind of, almost. All right. If it does, let's come back. Let's come back here. Remember, in the beginning, we had what? Light plus carbon dioxide plus H2O, all in the presence of chlorophyll and enzymes. We use enzymes and chlorophyll to make C6H12O6. Ne? Good. Now let's look at some things. Where did what go? Let's start with, obviously, light is used to by chlorophyll to split this H2O molecule into, oh, we forgot a product. What product did we forget? O2. So light is used to split water, and this oxygen over here is this one that has been split. Can you see where it goes? So this is this. Ne? And then what else? We looked at this carbon over here. These carbons will form part of glucose. What else will form part of glucose? The oxygen. This oxygen over here will also form part of the glucose, as well as the hydrogen. This hydrogen over here will also form part of glucose. Does it make sense? Good. If it does, number one, draw a flow diagram for me right now. Draw a flow diagram that illustrates or summarizes the reactions of the dark, so you start with the dark, and light phases, respectively. So, as you draw, we all know what's a flow diagram, right? This you explain in here. This, first of all, chloroplast absorbs sunlight to do this. Then after that, it does this and this and this, and it does this and this and this. We all know that in the light phase this happens. Then where does the light phase happen? In the thylakoid, in the granule. Then after light phases changes, it will go into the stroma. So please change color when you go into the dark phase to indicate you have changed into the dark phase. Please draw that flow diagram right now. And then number 2, provide the products of the light and dark phases respectively. Number 3, name the locations of the light and dark phase in the chloroplast. Right, get to it.